The day after the shootings, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern pledged to tighten gun laws, and a select committee today heard oral submissions on the proposed legislation. Now, an ammunition dealer says he'll sue the government if there's not fair compensation for those who have to hand in their guns under a buyback scheme that accompanies the new laws banning most semi-automatic weapons. Paul Clark says the reforms are being bulldozed through Parliament, disenfranchising more than 250,000 legal gun owners in a process that he believes smacks of a dictatorship.
If you ramrod things through and don't give the people time to be adequately and properly consulted, because you as a leader want to score political points, it is getting close to a dictatorship, because that's not what the parliamentary process was set up for. It was set up for informed consultation and debate, and this has not happened in this case.
When you talk about a leader looking to score political points, are you referring to Jacinda Ardern?
Absolutely.
So I'm also wondering about the democratic process, because did you vote in the last election?
Absolutely.
OK, so the whole Parliament, bar one MP, voted that this was the path they should take with this legislation. So isn't that democracy in practice?
Yes, but you don't race laws through Parliament. I mean, you go to the drafters and you allow adequate time for proper consultation, particularly when it affects a lot of people and a lot of legally held property, etc. You don't just, well, I'm the Prime Minister or whatever, I can do this, I want it done in 24 hours. It never works. I mean, look at Brexit.
OK. So you are not happy with the process so far, but what about the substance of the changes? What's wrong with them?
No. OK. First of all, they've been written by bureaucrats, not technical experts. One of the glib things there was, well, if dealers have got guns that they won't be able to sell now, they can just send them back to the manufacturer. Well, I can tell you, after being in the industry for over 35 years, you haven't got a snowball's chance in hell of doing that.
So to be clear, though, if you think that it's poorly drafted law, if that can be fixed, which it could be, if they could fix it to a draft that you felt was more watertight, are you opposed to the changes in principle?
I'm opposed to quite a few of them, but not necessarily all of them. We'd like to see heavier penalties, or I would like to see heavier penalties, more money devoted from vote police to firearm enforcement, vetting people, all that type of thing, not done as a fill-in-the-afternoon thing for some of the police, particularly in rural areas. That's why Molinar had the thing in Hawke's Bay. It was well known, he was a licence collector, etc., but when he didn't renew his licences, they never followed up.
So you think it's the vetting that is the issue?
And one of the main issues, not the only one. Vetting is one that we need more of, and we also need, in this instance, more, not eliminating the local arms officer, because he is an incredible valuable source of information to the police. If he interacts, or she, whatever, it doesn't matter, interacts positively with the whole local firearms community, whether it's Upper Hutt, Dannevirke, Hokitika, doesn't matter, and is out there and is approachable. It doesn't mean he breaks the law or she breaks the law or anything like that, but you can go up to Constable Plod and say, well, look, mate, the guy down the road, we're a bit worried about him, or do you know about this? Or well, I heard the gang, one of the local gangs has got some illegal firearms. That's an incredibly valuable source of information. If the police are part of, in a positive sense, the firearms community, rather than something they do when they've got nothing else to do.
You're in the business, right? So I really need to ask the question, is part of your objection to this, are you going to lose money out of this?
Oh, we will certainly lose money. I've been talking to retailers around the country, because we distribute product legally around the country, and everybody is saying they've got problems. Not that sales have collapsed, to be equally fair, but normally at this time of the year, with the raw started, duck shooting not far away, and all those type of things, the industry is in its most positive cycle of the financial year for the industry, that is.
So is that part of your issue with this, that you were going to lose money? Is that part of the reason you're objecting?
Well, it is if I'm going to be disadvantaged and effectively penalised financially for a crime that I didn't commit. Of course it is.
Okay.
I didn't shoot anybody in the mosque. Neither did all my fellow industry people or anything like that. And also the clauses on compensation. I mean, I've spoken to a barrister who specialises in this, and the government is seriously underestimating the amount of money they're going to have to spend, because otherwise, guess what? It's going back to court time and time and time again. It's going to get messy. They'll win some of them, but they'll lose most of them.
One of your specific concerns that you've outlined in your submissions is that you reckon the new legislation will cause a thriving black market and weapons being smuggled into the country which will not be able to be stopped. What evidence have you got that will happen?
It's already been going on in a small way. Now, the reason it's never been a big thing is that up till relatively recently, the system worked fairly well. I'm not saying it worked perfectly, but it worked fairly well. For the amount of firearms in circulation in this country, we have a low rate of armed crime and armed misuse. Now, guns are smuggled in. The police know that themselves. They might not want to talk about it because it's an unpopular subject that makes them look bad by default. Not that they are bad, but we smuggle in drugs. I mean, we ban drugs. We all know this country has a bad drug problem of hard drugs.
So you think because drugs can get in, weapons are getting in? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I know it happens. I've even reported one or two cases in the years gone by to the police.
Paul, just before we go, if this goes through in its form, do you anticipate that you could be involved in a legal challenge?
Yes, I do. And I think half the dealers in the country could be, and a lot of concerned individuals about, particularly on compensation. If you're going to hand in a $5,000 firearm, but they say, well, to hell with it, it's only worth $2,000, as the law on private property, and it's also in the Bill of Rights, is quite strong. Perhaps every 10th or 20th person, who knows, I don't exactly.
So you're talking about potentially taking the government to court. Aren't they one of your biggest clients?
I did it last year.
And you'll do it again. You'll do it again if this goes through and you don't get enough compensation.
Yeah, because I haven't done anything wrong. And this is the thing. People haven't done it. The average firearms dealer in this country, all of them, we haven't broken the law. So why should we, and everybody else involved in the shooting sports, why should we be penalised?
Why do you view it as punishment?
Well, why should I have to perhaps give up, income or the value of property because somebody doesn't like what we do, and yet the law says, including our Bill of Rights, as I believe, that we have, if they want to take that property, now they can do that under an Act of Parliament, I agree, but they have to pay fair market valuation.
And that's ammunition dealer Paul Clark, who submitted to the Select Committee on the gun law reforms.